captain on his retirement voyage, an officer who was last seen helping passengers into lifeboats, and a chief officer who was reassigned as first officer moments before the Titanic set sail. These are three of the officers aboard the Titanic. Welcome to another episode of Jay's LEGO Adventures. I'm Jay. In today's episode, we'll continue building the stern section of set 10294, the RMS Titanic, with bags 39 through 42. The stern section is looking pretty good. We're about halfway finished with it, and you can really see the scale. When I first built this, I had to custom make a shelf to put it on. Thus begun the series of shelves behind me. But before I begin building, let me tell you about the captain and some of the officers. Edward John Smith was a British sea captain, most famously known for commanding the Titanic on the night of her ill-fated voyage. Captain Smith was born in Hanley, Staffordshire. He joined the British Merchant Navy in 1867, and then he began a long association with the White Star Line in 1880. Rising through the ranks, he commanded several prominent liners, earning the reputation as a reliable and safe captain. Due to his popularity with wealthy passengers, Captain Smith also became known as the Millionaire's Captain. Smith served in the Royal Naval Reserve and also transported troops during the Second Boer War. He commanded many of White Star's newest and largest ships, including the Majestic, the Baltic, the Adriatic, and the Olympic. His final appointment was to the Titanic, which sank on April 15, 1912. Despite criticisms, many eyewitnesses described Smith as calm and proactive during the disaster. He oversaw lifeboat deployment and urged evacuation. Smith perished in the sinking, with conflicting accounts on whether he stayed on the bridge or jumped into the sea. Captain Smith's body was never recovered. He was honored posthumously with statues and plaques, particularly in Staffordshire. Smith remains a central figure in Titanic history, symbolizing both the tragedy and the heroism of the disaster. Lieutenant Henry Wilde was a British Merchant Navy officer and also the chief officer of the Titanic. Wilde was born in Walton, near Liverpool. He began his maritime career as a teenager, steadily rising through the ranks after joining the White Star Line in 1897. He served on several notable ships and was also a commissioned officer in the Royal Navy Reserve. In April 1912, Wilde was reassigned from the Olympic to the Titanic just before her maiden voyage began. Wilde played a significant role in the evacuation of the Titanic, assisting passengers to board lifeboats and maintaining order on deck. Wilde was last reliably seen to be directing passengers and attempting to launch lifeboats. Wilde perished in the disaster, and conflicting reports surround his final moments. He is remembered on a family gravestone in Liverpool as one of Britain's heroes. William McMaster Murdoch was a Scottish sailor and first officer aboard the Titanic. He was born in Dalbeattie, Scotland. Murdoch began his maritime career at a young age and earned his extra master certification by age of 23. He joined the White Star Line in 1900 and served on several major liners, including the Adriatic and the Olympic. Known for his quick judgment and leadership, Murdoch was highly respected and entrusted with critical responsibilities. In 1912, Murdoch was appointed chief officer of the Titanic, but was reassigned to first officer shortly before departure. He was in charge of the bridge on the night of April 14th when the Titanic struck the iceberg. Murdoch made rapid efforts to avoid collision. He later supervised the starboard lifeboat evacuation, launching at least 10 lifeboats. He died in the sinking, with conflicting reports about his final moments. His body was never recovered. So, let's get to building. All right, we're gonna do bag 39, which is the same as 38, just a mirror image. All right, I was bag 39. Did the other side of the hull. Added this here, which we didn't do over here, but again, I think that's going to be done later, running wires. All right, not much to say other than it went in easier. Then, oh, okay. All right, well, I gotta fix this side, move all this down one. So I'll do that and I'll get bag 40 together. All right, bag 40. Gonna start adding some stuff here. All right, that was bag 40. 6 more bags to go with stern. Bag 40 added a lot of this here. Added beginning of the deck area here, like how they make it look like wood planks. You noticed over on this side, they continued adding the slopes to make the shape of it. But on this side, they didn't. And again, like I said, I believe that's for running wires through here to make it easier. But it did add on the back printed plate that says Titanic Liverpool. I didn't mention it before, but there are no stickers in the set. Printed, there are, I think, 3 printed plates. All right. Well, it's getting along good. 41's coming up. And we get it together and we'll do 41. All right, bag 41. Okay, now we take a warm white, Astrolite medium, warm white, 30 centimeter. Now we take another Astrolite medium, warm white 30 centimeter. Alright, that was bag 41, or part of it. As like with previous steps, like my bricks is only having us do so much of the bag, so we can run wires. Anyway, I did the side portholes on the sides here. This is where porthole's gonna light up. Same on the other side. Did this decking, or not decking, but more layers. And then it did these stairways up to because there's gonna be a deck here. All right. You know, same as always, coming along good, looking good. Let's see, bag 42, the ultimate bag of life, the universe, and everything, is gonna add some lights to it also. So let me get bag 42 together. Okay, we're now doing the ultimate bag of life, the universe, and everything, bag 42. Three-port dock, and then a 50-centimeter belt. Then two Astrolite warm white 30-centimeter lights. Two 1x1 round bricks with holes in them, or as I like to call them, barrels. Two 1x1 bricks with hole. we're moving the position of the dock. To here. I don't know if that'll be the final position or not. All right, that was bag 42. 42 built up these decks, added some lights in here. All right, see, bag 43 is next. Let's see what that brings. Bag 43. Thanks for joining me for part 4 of the stern section of this build. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like this episode, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell to be notified of new episodes. I do have a Facebook and an Instagram. Links are in the video description, so follow me. Join me next time when I'll continue building the stern section with bags 43 and 44. If you'd like to see some reviews of sets I've built, check out this playlist.